Before we move on to the next lectures where I'll introduce you to package managers, I'd like to give you a little bit more information about the three different types of shell commands, which are, just as a reminder, built-ins, executables, and aliases, starting with built-ins. Built-ins are features contained within the source code of the shell itself and are essential to implement functionalities that are impossible or inconvenient to obtain with separate utilities. Indeed, whenever you're running an external program like ls or cat, the shell will first start a new process, which is a subshell, into which the program will be loaded and then executed. That being said, commands like cd to change directory must therefore be implemented by the shell itself in order to be executed into the same process it runs in, as executing cd within a different process will not result into the directory being changed in the current process. We can simulate this by running cd into a bash subshell like this and then printing the current working directory. And as you can see here, we're still in the same location as the current directory was indeed changed into the subshell, but not in our current process. Now, an executable is an external program, also called a binary, that is directly downloaded and installed on your system independently from the shell you're using. Some of them are pre-installed, others you can install yourself either by using a package manager or by downloading the source files and compiling them into a binary. Now, since they're not part of the shell source code, the shell uses a special environment variable called path that will help it locate them within the file system. This variable contains a list of concatenated directory path, the con symbol being the separator for each directory. That being said, if you were, for example, to create and compile your own program, you would therefore have to manually add its path like this for the shell to be able to find it. Finally, aliases are methods of supplementing or overriding bash's command with new ones in order to make it easy for users to customize their own experience. To create an alias in bash, we use the alias command with the following syntax. And just like environment variables, you can either define a temporary alias by running this command directly in the shell, or a permanent one by adding it into your bash rc file without forgetting to run the source command right after to load it. Here's a few examples you might find useful to begin with. Now that we know a bit better the difference between built-ins, executables, and aliases, let's move on to the next lecture on how to manage binaries.